Hello clan, welcome to Worth It or Not, where I'm going to answer the simple question: is Wolfenstein The New Order for PS4 worth it or not? Let's stick around and see if I can actually answer that simple question. Okay, let me get the first thing out of the way. This is the first Wolfenstein game I've ever played. Blasphemy, I know, I'm a gamer. Every gamer should have played at least one Wolfenstein game. For those that don't know, the Wolfenstein series, to a lot of people, is the well, maybe the father or the grandfather or the grandmother, depending on the pronunciation, of first-person shooters. Wolfenstein was one of the first games that was like brutal. Like, it was one of the first to ever go as brutal as it did. It was made by id Software, who of course made Doom, which is another iconic game that was shared with everyone around the world and kind of jump started the whole first person shooter genre. And most FPSs today take a lot of inspiration from the Wolfenstein and Doom series, and maybe even they wouldn't be where they are today if it wasn't for those ones. And also, Doom was one of the first games to go, holy shit, look at that blood. And also, parents gone, game is evil. But yeah, the Wolfenstein series is as old as, well, probably one of the oldest gaming series out there to date. Not including the ones that go back following that, of course. And it's a lot of games that, well, I wasn't born, I was born in 92, so I missed the whole Wolfenstein thing, but I never played any of them, and it's a game that's been, apparently everyone has to play. Wolfenstein 3D this, Wolfenstein 3D that. And really, as I say, the series has been kind of meandering for a while. The last one was back in 2009, which was supposed to be like a series reboot. And I never played it. I watched a playthrough of it. It looked like an interesting game. Maybe I'll go back and check it out. But it got okay reviews, but it ended up going more modern. Wolfenstein is never known for its story. It's mostly known for Mr. B.J.Blaskowits, who US gun-ho guy who dual-wield shotguns and blows shit up, that kind of thing. And the whole premise of the Wolfenstein series has been, you killing fucking Nazis. That's simple as. But yeah, let's just talk about that. Let me just talk about the Wolfenstein The New Order has been hyped for a wee while now. It's been very well advertised, I'm not going to lie. The adverts for this game were spectacularly well done, especially with the premise of the game. It's an alternative universe game, which I love alternative history games. And of course, in the premise of Wolfenstein The New Order, the Nazis won World War II. It's not a new thing. Wolfenstein kind of did it first, but the idea of the Nazis winning World War II is nothing new. There's been I'm pretty sure there's probably been a movie. I don't know where. It's probably a shit movie. But there's been plenty of games that have took that kind of spin and says, what if they had won? And Wolfenstein is just another one of those ones. But it does it well, I'm not going to lie there. But the whole adverts for the game were like showing the Nazis like in London, taking iconic songs from round about the time of 1946 to 1960, where the game is based. It starts off in 1946, but most of the game takes place in 1960. And it takes songs that are done by the Beatles and a few other songs from those iconic era, and basically Germanifies them and makes them in German. To make them sound like the Nazis ruled the world. Like there's a version of the German Beatles Yellow Submarine, except for it's called the Blue U-Boat, except for it's in German. Of course, I don't know how to say it, but yeah. But the whole adverts for that is just playing songs that you probably have heard in German, adding to that feel. So it was very well advertised for that part, and I did like that part. And that kind of got me being, I kind of want to check this game out, because it kind of advertised well. It advertised itself right in my opinion. It didn't reveal too much about the story. It showed what the game was going to be about, killing fucking Nazis. There, that's it. Done, very well done. But I'm going to talk about, as I said, I'll go through my usual installment: story, gameplay, story, characters, gameplay, graphics, and my enjoyment. I'll go through the usual stuff. But I just wanted to get that little intro out of the way. I'm not kind of blabbing on, but that's what you expect in my reviews. So let's start with the story. What is the story about? Well, of course, you play as the Wolfenstein protagonist from almost every game, I think, and don't quote me on that. B.J.Blaskowits, who's a Nazi-killing guy from World War II, probably one of the best Nazi killers out there. And you start off the game in 1946, going off after Death's Head, who has been a major villain. Apparently, I think he's a villain in the Wolfenstein series, quite a prominent one. And you're going after his compound, and your whole goal is to fucking kill him. Like if he dies, you win the war. Basically, that kind of bullshit. Killing one guy ends a war. But yeah, that's how the game starts off. But during the events, I won't spoil too much. But during the first mission, B.J.Blaskowits suffers some shrapnel damage to his brain, and subsequently is put into sort of like a vegetative coma. He isn't completely brain dead, but he suffers a bit of brain damage, and is put into a sort of coma, and he ends up getting put into an insane asylum for 14 years, literally watching the world go by. And to him, he knows as time goes by. He's aware that time is going by, but he doesn't know how much time. He cannot comprehend that. And he's taken care by a character named Anya, who is a nurse at the insane asylum that is. But this insane asylum constantly doing the Germans ruling now. It's in Poland, by the way. Is constantly getting their patients taken away by the Nazis because they're subhumans. The Nazis kill them, basically. But BJ is saved by this girl for 14 years. And after about 14 years, the Nazis come into the insane asylum and say, right, you're all going to fucking die now. And they start killing patients, the people who took care of him, they end up getting killed, except for Anya, who gets taken prisoner. And then BJ is on a mission now to kill Nazis, find the resistance, save the world. That kind of thing. And throughout the story, you will be meeting characters, the resistance fighters in the game, who are actually very well developed, and also depending on a choice you make at the start of the game, you actually do get one choice in this game which will actually have. Now, I haven't noticed as is. I'm playing through the second timeline as it is. There's one timeline and there's another timeline which involves a choice in which a character you have to choose called Ferguson and Wyatt. Now this isn't a spoiler. It's been advertised. It's been shown all over the fucking place. You have to choose which one of these characters lives at one point. And I'm not going to say the scene that happens because it's actually pretty well done. And depending on which one you choose will actually affect some things in the game. It will actually affect a gameplay element. Like if you let one of them live, you actually learn you actually get a lockpicking mini game. If you let the other one live, you don't. And also, how certain levels play out will actually play out. Like I played through one level. I said I'll play a little bit of the second timeline. I chose the first timeline in which I chose Ferguson to live because I think he's a Glaswegian, but I know he's Scottish. And I used to say, so let's try the other one where Wyatt lives. So I played through a little bit of it, getting the collectibles, of course. And there were some actually differences, actually. Like, one mission I played through, you had to run and gun to get your way out. Then when I played it with Wyatt, I had to be sneaky, and I was able to pick locks and all that. It's actually quite surprising how different it was. And also, I haven't noticed it yet, but at least one resistance fighter is different depending on who you choose. I won't spoil who, though. And that's actually getting interesting to me. But yeah, I'm getting off topic. I just thought I'd talk a little bit about that. But I wanted to say that, surprisingly, this story's actually very good. I wasn't expecting it. I was expecting that it's not the strongest part of the game. The strongest part of the game is killing Nazis and guns and all that shit. But the story is surprisingly well done. I was a bit surprised by that. It's very well voice acted, both in the English, the German, and the Polish. Now, I don't speak German and Polish, of course, but you can tell with the voice acting that's done with them, that's because this game does something that not a lot of fucking other things do, including movies. You're based in Poland, people speak German and Polish. You go to Germany, people speak German. Yeah, I'm not shitting you, they speak German. They don't speak American for some reason. Most of the characters you run into do speak English, but in certain situations they will talk in their native tongue, and it makes fucking sense why they would. They're in their fucking home country, of course they're going to talk fucking German. It makes sense, I love that. it very well done on that aspect to Machine Games and id and Bethesda, and adding a bit of authenticity to it. If you're in Germany, most people gotta be speaking fucking German, so you learn German or you fucking die. I like that. It's a little feature I liked. But yeah, I was very surprised with the story. It was actually very well done, and it isn't anything on the levels of like Mass Effect or Dragon Age, but it is at least a better story. That the story in Wolfenstein The New Order is better than any fucking campaign in Call of Duty and Battlefield combined. I am not kidding you. And this is a first-person shooter that the whole premise is you're killing fucking Nazis. And the story is good. What the fuck? What? I haven't played... I'm trying to think of the last FPS I played that had a good story, and I cannot think any off the top of my head except for Deus Ex, which was a really good story. I know Singularity had a really good story. Darkness had a good story, but in recent years, no, I haven't, to my knowledge anyway. As I don't play every game that comes out, but fuck Call of Duty, fuck every other, fuck Call of Duty, and fuck this. This has a fantastic story compared to Call of Duty any fucking day. And guess what? This has no multiplayer. This is a single player game, so the story is fucking fantastic for that. Epic story. It's surprisingly good, and I love it for that. The acting is very well done, and the story actually grips you a little bit. At least for me anyway, but I'm a bit of a sap that way. It's not spectacular, but it is a good story for a first-person shooter in my opinion, and I really did enjoy it. And I grew a connection with some of these characters while I was playing through the game. Didn't make me cry or anything, don't worry, but it's surprisingly good. I don't think there's much else I can say on the story except for it's very well done, surprisingly. Now let's move on to the characters. Characters are good. The characters that you interact with in the game, the main ones you'll be interacting with the Resistance members. You'll be interacting with Anya, an old friend of B.J.Blaskowits whose name I can't remember, Wyatt or Ferguson, depending on who you choose to survive, and a few other Resistance members who I won't spoil. And it also does change depending on your choice with Wyatt or Ferguson, but I won't say who. But you also run into a mentally challenged person called Max Hoss, who's like fucking 6'8", a dent in his head, must have suffering brain damage, of course, and he's a little kid. And there's this other guy who is a former Nazi and who is now faced with resistance, who's like a father to Max Hoss, and they have a little bit of a connection, and I like that. I should have mentioned I should actually go back to the story actually. And the story is primarily told through BJ's point of view, but also through newspaper articles and letters that you'll collect throughout the game that will actually describe the events between 1946 and 1960 of how the Germans won, basically. But that I like. That's a little feature I liked. I should have probably mentioned that, but I mentioned it there and now. Very well done. But yeah, as you play throughout the game, you'll interact with these characters, and you'll get to know a little bit more about them. And some of them do have quite a tragic backstory. I won't spoil any of them, but they're actually kind of tragic, and it makes sense why they would be in the Resistance. They're not in the Resistance because I just want to kill fucking Nazis. They're in the Resistance because the Nazis did something to them that hurt them badly. And Nazis doing something bad, that's not surprising. But it gives a little bit of sense why they fight. BJ fights because he fights for true freedom in the American way, that kind of thing. Some of them are like that, but there are some of them who do have a very tragic backstory. And you learn about them as you play through the game, and if you interact with them, you learn more. And it's very well done, and it makes sense for the time. It really shines a light on that this world, Wolfenstein The New Order, is fucked. It is fucked up. The Nazis are terrible. No surprise. And it really does give a sense of, shit, we need to do something. And it does that well, and through the characters, they tell that. It's very well done, and I do give them credit for at least for doing that. They could have easily made all these characters generic, but they all have their own unique feature and their own reasons for doing what they're doing. And the one that does get the bit more character development is Anya. She actually took care of BJ for 14 years of her life, and she did a very good job of it. And they do actually, a bit of a romantic thing comes up for them. I won't spoil it just yet, but it's it's done well. And I'm going to say this right now: male and female characters portrayed fine. And also villains. You can't go wrong with villains. The primarily villain of this game is Death's Head, but you do not see him for the majority of the game. You only see him at some point at the start and some point at the end. I won't spoil what, but he's there, but he has this presence. Like, the whole premise, the whole point of you doing what you're doing is to kill Death's Head. He is the man that's behind the technological advancements of the Nazis. They're basically fucking Imperial walkers, robots, robo-dogs, laser weapons. They're on the fucking moon by this time. He's the main antagonist. He's the one that you're going to fucking kill, and if you kill him, you're cutting the head off the snake. And then 2 more grow back. Couldn't resist. But yeah, that's the whole point of the game. But there are other wee villains in there. There's one villain that's only in it briefly, but he's called the Knife, and he's a torturer. You actually do go to a concentration camp at one point in this game. I won't spoil when, but he's the Knife, and you hear little stories about how he takes prisoners in there and just tortures them to death. For what reason? For fun. And he's very minor, very, very minor, and you do eventually kill him. But they give you a reason for wanting to kill him beyond being a Nazi, which I like that. And the other one is, oh shit, what's her name? I'm sorry, I'm horrible. The German, there's a female antagonist. I can't remember her name for the life of me. I do apologize. But you meet her near the start of the game not long after BJ wakes up, and she's fucking psychotic. She is fucking. The first thing she does when she sees you, she plays a game with you in which she says, if you lose, you die. And you're like, okay, so there's a little bit of tension there. And she's fucking crazy. She also has a boy toy named Babby, I think his name is, who I think. I just realised what he did. Oh, disgusting. Who's like her toy boy. She's like she's quite up there in age. I don't know how old she is. They don't exactly explicitly say, but she is psychotic. She just walks around and is like, yes. She's thick. She's got a stick so far up her ass it's coming out her forehead, and she's Nazi through and through. She, like, if you on an alien, she kills you, or she treats you like shit, and she experiments on people. Not nice. So you meet her early on, and you get to hate her quite quickly. You really, really do. And I'm not gonna say if she gets a comeuppance, but once you get to the point where you see her again, you're like, oh, I want to fucking kill you. And I don't want to say what happens to her, but it's very well done. I like it. They give you a reason. They don't just give you a reason to hate these Nazis because they're Nazis, because that's basically the most reason most people need. They show you why you should hate them. They show you what they do. They show you that they are despicable creatures. No, not all of them, but you know what I mean. That they give you a reason to hate them beyond being Nazis, which I like. Normally, they're just like, Nazis, go kill them. But they give you a fucking reason why you should kill them. I like that part. I really, really do. And that's a little bit extra stuff that they didn't have to do with the characters, but they did. So good villains give you a reason to hate them, and good characters to help the story go along, and I like that. I really, really do. Gotta love that. Alright, let's talk a little bit about the gameplay. What can I say about the gameplay beyond it's fucking awesome? The primary aspect of the game is the guns. You have your single shotguns, or you can dual wield pistols, assault rifles, long range rifles, and shotguns. I am not kidding. You dual wield shotguns in this, and it's awesome. It's fucking awesome. I love it. The game makes you feel like a badass, and not only with making the guns feel like they have kick, but they sound like they've got it. The shotguns, especially when you pull the triggers on when you pull these triggers on here, when you're dual wielding shotguns, you feel the kick, the vibrations of the controllers, and the sounds are fantastic. Just going. Oh, I fucking love the sounds, and it makes you feel like a badass which is what any kind of power fantasy game should. And I loved it. And when you get a couple of Nazis and you just go with the shotguns and just eviscerate them, literally eviscerate them to shreds, it is fucking satisfying. And that's what it should do, in my opinion. The guns are the best part of this game. It's very well done. And when you get a headshot, heads don't just go dead. They go explode. And I'm like, oh, it's awesome. Oh, very well done with the guns in this one. Definitely enjoyed the gunplay in this one. I also enjoyed the stealth aspect of this game as well. There is actually a bit of a strategy to this game as well. At certain points in the game, you'll come across rooms of Nazis. And there'll be one or two Nazis who are Nazi commanders. And if you go in there guns blazing and you alert the Nazi commander, he'll raise the alarm and spawn drones, and other Nazis will just keep coming. And it's like, if you keep them alive, it's almost an infinite amount of Nazis where you're just going and killing them all. But if you're sneaky and you manage to get to him and you stealth kill him with a knife, or both of them, they can't raise the alarm, and you just kill the rest of the Nazis in that room and you're sorted. So there is a bit of options. You can play some parts of this game pretty stealthily, and I do enjoy it. The stealth aspect of the game is actually very well done, and you do get a bit of options sometimes. Not all the time. Sometimes you just need to go in with your auto shotguns and just clean fucking house, killing everything. Dogs, Nazis, shotgun wielders themselves. And it's very well done, and I like that aspect. And as you progress through the games, you'll actually get upgrades for your guns. Like your assault rifles will get rocket launchers. Your shotguns will get new ammos, which is basically ball bearings that bounce around and ricochet shots. Absolutely fantastic, by the way. Especially when you have double ones of them, and you just fire them and the pellets just go everywhere in a narrow corridor and kill everything. It's satisfying. I love that, but I love the upgrade system. The guns make you feel like a badass. There's also a perk system in the game. Assault, stealth, demolition, and another one which I can't remember off the top of my head. And you unlock these by basically killing enemies in specific ways, i.e. with like stealth one, stealth kill an enemy. Stealth kill an enemy with throwing knives 5 times. Assault rifle, slide. I mean, yeah, you can slide in this game. Kill 3 enemies while sliding with dual-wielding shotguns or assault rifles. Basically, just little goals, and when you do them, you unlock like things like more your magazine, your gun has more, carry more. You get more health. You can deal more damage. You take less damage. That kind of thing. You get health as you do stealth kills. It gives you a reason to do some stylish kills, in my opinion. The perk system is very well done. It's not like the fucking shitty Call of Duty ones. But it's actually surprisingly well done, the perk system. I did enjoy that part. Especially, like, I wanted to try and pull off these kills, and it's very well done, and I liked it for that. But yeah, the gameplay is actually very well done. It makes you feel like a badass. It really, really fucking does, and I did enjoy that part. And when a game makes me feel like a badass, it's doing something right. Like, Mass Effect and Dragon Age, fantastic stories, really great connection, and they also made me feel like a badass. This game, good story, and made me feel like a fucking badass Nazi killing son of a bitch. I loved it. Very well done. There were some issues with gameplay here or there, I'm not going to lie. I did have a couple of issues with guns somehow not firing for some reason. But the game, the only thing that's bad about it is the jumping. The game was not designed to be a jumping thing, and there are not a lot of jumping parts in this game, but there are some parts in which you need to jump to platforms. Only from one to another, nothing major, and sometimes it didn't work properly. But overall, they concentrated on the thing that would make the games good, and that is the guns, and the guns. Oh, the best part. I love the guns. Awesome. Another aspect of the gameplay you can see is the collectibles. The game has collectibles, which is no iffy thing. The collectibles include Enigma codes, which once you collect a certain amount of them, you have to go into the main menu and you decrypt them, which you actually have to figure out yourself, by the way. And you unlock game modes to get like 999 modes, the one I've got right now, which gives you unlimited ammo, 999 health, but puts on uber difficulty. There's also other ones apparently. I haven't unlocked them yet because I'm still collecting the Enigma codes. There's gold, Nazi gold of course. Health upgrades, armor upgrades. What's the other one? In some cases you'll collect records, which are basically songs from that era only in German. Like there's a couple of classic 60 songs that are Germanified, which actually makes you go, holy shit, this is creepy. I think there's other collectibles, but I just can't remember off the top of my head what it is. Letters from people to other people, that kind of thing. It gives you a reason to go back and replay the levels in Mannheim to get the collectibles that you missed, and gives you a little bit of incentive, and I like that, and I'm probably going to do that. Graphics, I don't have much to say on besides the game looks good. The game looks great. It doesn't. I'm not gonna lie. Second Son looks way better, but the game does look good. It doesn't feel next gen. It definitely feels like it could have just been on a PS3, which it is. Probably PC is the better looking game apparently, but still, the game looks good. It doesn't look ugly. It looks like it should. It looks grimy. The graphics are good, but it definitely the overall style of the graphics makes it feel depressing. Makes it feel sickening. It makes you feel like you're in a fucking Nazi ruled world. So they did a really good job with the artistic part of this game and making it feel like hell. Definitely give them major props for that, and I definitely encourage them for doing more of that. Definitely, the graphics fit the world excellently, and it does feel good. But I think what other thing I could talk about? Yeah, my overall enjoyment. If you can't tell, I love the game. I had an absolute fucking blast playing it. I think I beat it in about 8 to 12 hours, maybe. Which I think. I played it on stream for like 3 or 4 hours. I started playing on Uber difficulty, which is the hardest difficulty. So I did get a lot of challenge out of it. Eventually, at one point, however, I had to bump the game down like to I Am Death Incarnate, which is the hard difficulty. And then at some point I had to switch it back down to normal difficulty. But for some strange reason, I still got the trophy for completing the game in Uber difficulty, apparently. Apparently the game has a little glitch, so if you want to get that achievement, just start the game in Uber, finish a couple of levels, then switch it back to normal. Seems to work. It seemed to work for me. But the game was difficult, so I did have a little bit longer than other people. You could probably beat the game if you knew what you were doing, especially on normal difficulty, which I'm going to be honest is fucking piss easy. Like, once I switched it back down to normal difficulty, I didn't have a fucking problem with the game. You could probably beat the game in about 8 hours. If you'd done a speedrun, maybe even sooner, but about 8 to 12 hours, I'd say, depending on if you were going back to collect all the collectibles, which is what I'm doing right now. And also, the game does have some replayability as well with the 2 different timelines to see what's different. Now, I don't think a lot's different, but there are some differences that I've noticed right off the bat, even early on in the game. But I had fun playing the game, and I am going to replay the game on the different timeline, collecting all the collectibles this time. I only missed a handful. And I'm using a guide this time because looking around this place, something's a bit of a maze sometimes, and some of them are very well hidden. But I did like it. I did like that aspect of it, and I really did enjoy the game. Now, at some points, when I will say as well as Uber difficulty, while it is challenging, a lot of the enemies just feel like bullet sponges. But even then, it kind of makes sense because a lot of them are wearing armor, and I'm not gonna lie, whenever I finished the part on Uber, at one point in the game, I had 20 health left, and I had to go run down an area where there were automated turrets which I had to destroy, and then there were enemies from below me who could kill me in like 1 or 2 shots, and enemies right in front of me who I had to hide around a corner, and I had to use a bit of strategy to get them, and I eventually did beat it after like fucking like 20 tries maybe, but I eventually did, so a bit of trial and error, but you do get a bit of satisfaction there. So I did have fun playing the game, and I really enjoyed it, not only just for the gameplay, but for the story as well. The story was actually surprisingly good, as I stated earlier, and I did enjoy that aspect of the story. It was very well done. So yeah, I enjoyed the game. I had a blast. It was fun. It was enjoyable, and not just for the gameplay, but for the story as well, and I was very surprised with that. And yeah, I had fun, and I'm the type of gamer that if I don't enjoy the story in the game, I very rarely beat it. And I enjoyed the story, and I enjoyed the gameplay. It was very well done, and I had fun doing it. So yeah, I had fun. I'm not gonna lie, it was awesome. I'm definitely I'm replaying it right now. I'm replaying the Wyatt timeline now. It's fun. It's awesome. It's fucking awesome. Um, and plus a game that has a Scottish guy in it, you can't go wrong, can you? um, if I had to say some gripes in the game, major gripe is it could have been a bit longer. I think. I'm not gonna lie. Maybe add a couple more missions and maybe add more choices. In my opinion, like if they were going to add one choice at the start, which you could choose if Wyatt lived or Ferguson lived, they should have maybe added a few more choices in the game. There are some side quests and some missions, but they're fairly simple. You can be done like that, but I really think they could have added one or two more options in the game at certain points in the game that you had to choose either between a certain situation, a certain upgrade, or just something. I think they could have maybe done a little bit more with choice in the game. If they were doing it with one thing, they could have done it with another. Like they could have had where the first choice you make Ferguson or Wyatt, who do you let live? And then some other point you make another choice which branches off into another timeline, and then it gives more incentive to actually go back and replay it. Because you've got to, you really, if you just wanted to see the two difference between the two, you could just beat the game twice and you're done. But I think they could have added that. I think if they did it right, they could have added some more choices. Now I don't know if they were stretched for time or they couldn't think of it, but I think they could have done it, and it may have actually made the game a little bit more fun, in my opinion. So yeah, I had fun. That's my only major gripe with the game. Is I wish they'd done that because it would have made the game a little bit more interesting and may have added a little bit more replayability to it. I don't think I have any other major gripes there. Well, I'm trying to think of anything else I didn't like about the game besides the fact that it's like, some people could say that due to the fact the game has no multiplayer, it harms it. I think it enhances it. Like, I don't like multiplayer. I don't play multiplayer games, and to see a single player first person shooter game with no multiplayer is very surprising in this day and age. And I give them props for doing that. So I say the single player alone makes it worth it for me, in my opinion. But I'm trying to think of anything else I didn't like about the game. I had fun playing it. Some parts were a bit... there are some parts in the game that did feel like... what's the word? Turret sections. There were a few turret sections. One or two turret sections in the game. Nothing major, but you can move about with the turret. There's some points the enemies did feel like bullet spongy. I'm not going to lie. And there were some cheap deaths here or there. But I never felt like a death was... I always felt like the death was my fault most of the time. There were some times I thought it was cheap, but most of the time it felt like it was right for me. Other than that, I don't think there's anything else I didn't like about the game. Now let's see what else. I guess I can move on to the final verdict. Final verdict is... Wolfenstein is one of the games I've had the most fun with this year. I'm not going to lie. I had fun playing it. And I enjoyed it, and that's a bit of bias on that part. If I had fun, I'm going to say it's worth it. If not, I'll definitely say that if you're not into first-person shooters or alternative history gameplay, definitely give this one a miss. But I'm going to say this right: if you're interested, if you want to see a first-person shooter game that actually has a good story, definitely pick it up. In my opinion, Wolfenstein The New Order, for me personally, is worth it. I thought it was fun. I had a blast playing it. It was enjoyable. It was cheesy at some points, but the right kind of cheese. Galloway's cheese. It was the right kind of cheesy and enjoyable and surprisingly good story in my opinion. And it was fun. It definitely made me feel... I definitely feel like I got my money's worth playing this game. So, is Wolfenstein New Order worth it or not? Hell fucking yes. I loved it. I enjoyed it a lot. And I definitely would recommend it if you're looking for a good game this year. Because let's face it, in the past month or two, there has not been a lot of games that have came out that have made me go, oh. But this is one of the new AAA games that just came out, and I absolutely enjoyed it. And I definitely say that if you're thinking about picking it up, I would say give it a try. If you can get it cheap, go ahead, get it on PS3 or Xbox 360. But if you have a PS4, get it on PS4 because it works well. I enjoyed it. I had fun playing it, and I'm going to be probably replaying it a little bit more with the alternative timeline right now, actually. So, I enjoyed it. I had fun, but I will definitely say this, if you're not into the whole power fantasy game, because it is a bit of a power fantasy at some point, at most of the game, even if it does have a decent story, it is a power fantasy game. So if you're not into that type of games, probably might want to avoid it and not pick it up and wait for it to go down in price. But in my opinion, the quality of Wolfenstein The New Order definitely exceeds the quantity. You could beat it in about 8 hours if you blaze through it, and I'm replaying it because I want to get the collectibles and I want to finish up the Wyatt timeline. But excuse me, just don't, if you're not into that kind of stuff, then probably don't pick it up in my opinion. But even then, I definitely say if you own a PS4, pick it up because it definitely is worth owning a PS. If you have a PS4, get it on PS4 in my opinion. If you have a good PC, get it on PC. I was going to get it on PC originally, but yeah. But I also one last little fucking gripe I have with this game: a 5 fucking gigabyte update. If you saw me on Twitter, you know I fucking raised about this. When you start the game up, there's a 5 gigabyte update which took me fucking 5 hours to download with my shitty internet. So yeah, giving you a fucking heads up there. What the fuck? What the fuck? What game releases with a 5 fucking gigabyte update the first day? Fuck you! What the fuck, Bethesda or Machine Games? What the fuck? Yeah, so yeah, a little heads up. There's an update for the game that's about 5 fucking gig on PS4. Sorry, what's this up in my roof there? But yeah, it was worth it for me. I enjoyed it. I had fun. Is there anything else I can say about the game that I haven't said? That I enjoyed it, I had fun, and I'm replaying it right now. Also, I give it major props for not having multiplayer, because most first-person shooter games these days, in fact most games these days, have multiplayer, and I'm very, very surprised that this game didn't have multiplayer. It's a fully single-player experience, and I like it for that. I like it that it had the guts to do that, and I hope that there's another Wolfenstein game in the next few years. I enjoyed it, I had fun, I definitely would recommend playing it if you haven't already. I think I'll wrap things up there. Thank you for watching, I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know if you've already played Wolfenstein, what your thoughts were about it. Spoiler free, please, of course. But yeah, I had fun, I enjoyed it, and I think I'll wrap things up here now. Thank you for watching, I'm Scottish Warrior 92, and I'll see you all next time. Ciao for now. Mwah. Hey there, I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching. If you want to help this channel out in any way, shape or form, you can hop over to my Patreon page and donate a minimum of $1 a month to help towards resources for the channel, licenses, equipment and other resources. And hopefully you will consider at least having a little look at my Patreon page, which is linked in the description. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all next time.